Okay, it's the third in the series. Now let's talk about the future scenario after we buy the world and create a world bank and a WeThePeopleOfEARTH.biz at the top of the world. In the future, you have all the people are customers, or the people are employees, or people are shareholders now because we've provided them common equity in the future we created. And that common equity provides income. We'll go down the income scale. And then the preferred equity, all their investments are now translated into investments in We the People of Earth with preferred equity. And some of it might be because you might have it tracking the equity that you came from. So if you had it in a certain stock, you might have tracking of your preferred equity to the performance of that. So you don't lose contact with the performance of all your different things. But then you have job income, of course. And then we might need transitional support because as soon as you start to create a world enterprise like this, to do the right thing, you're going to restructure and make things efficient. Why hire people you don't need to have working? Why hire people sitting in front of computers when you have the computers do the entire job and get the people out of the equation? Now, of course, when you get them out of the equation, there's no job, but we get more profit in that. Profit must go into income, but in a period while we're transitioning from the past, the today, to the future, we're going to need like job support, transitional income support. But that can come directly from our bank because our bank is almost infinite money. It's backed by everything in the earth. Now, the other important part of the equation is the expense line. Now, because we are all our own customers, what we'll want to do to drive this, and by the way, the enterprise itself will be responsible for making sure to deliver a human being the basic standards of life, from food to housing to healthcare, at whatever level we can at the time, but the plan would be to improve it all to way beyond what we enjoy in America and Europe. But the point is this, is that you drive down your housing. We already talked, the bank's going to buy out the real estate fundamentally, and basically instead of raising the asset value of this underlying real estate, we basically will have the owners, the people that are in the houses, will pay a smaller amount because the bank itself will be owning a chunk of it. It's almost like you're leasing the land, but I'm not saying that's the transaction. It's almost like you don't have to pay the full amount because we leave our housing down. And then we go and we build new housing around the world for the people without housing and for the people, and to grow housing in new places. So we build new housing. By the way, as we can create more income, we could create more need for vacation housing. We can create more need for vacations. In fact, part of the whole thing is when you own the world, you can blow up the economy in the entire world, use the bank to help blow it up, make huge profits while you're blowing it up, and make sure those profits go back into the enterprise, back into the common equity, and back into the bank. And see, your energy costs might rise because we want to drive to renewable sources, but over time they might fall because as we get more and better technology and replace the carbon fuels like coal and oil with renewable energy, well, that whole cost equation changes. Food, we invest in food production and the cost should not go up. Basically, that should be stable. And then healthcare. We've got to invest in the healthcare, but that becomes part of what we do. But see, when we own our food companies, if we own our own fast food, and we actually have our own insurance companies if we need to be insured, we're going to basically say, let's start at the source. Let's make sure, through education, by the way, which is our primary mission. That's the only way we can capitalize in this plan, is thinking that there's knowledge in the humans. That knowledge is so much value. We can speed the rate of innovation up by connecting education. Well, it's into what I've talked about before in other stories, the confluence and convergence of technology, where information is immediately available to you through our new technology system. Well, anyway, the point is we start to do things right for our people, and we do them cost effectively. So we provide a better standard of life rather than fighting out and selling each other lies. Our enterprises have new standards that because you're the shareholder, employee, and customer, we must guarantee that you're satisfied with the transaction. That's got to be at the top and the bottom of the list. The people everywhere on the earth must get no better. They must only get worse. This isn't taking away from one and giving to another. This is taking it, giving it to ourselves in a plan, in a structure, and then making more for everybody. But then realizing that the only way that you make such a plan to monopolize ourselves work is make everybody a shareholder in the monopoly of us. And then, okay, here's where it gets interesting. Where do we find new jobs when we start eliminating other jobs? Well, there's certain things that computers can't do. Art. There's certain thoughts that computers don't yet have. There's knowledge we must find, using them as tools, using our internet technologies as tools. And that knowledge, well, it's really pretty amazingly infinite, probably. But the point is this. As we're changing our world, we have the opportunity to create the greatest reality movie in the history of all mankind. The reality of a whole humanity, well, maybe conspiring first to buy themselves out, but then after it's known, conspiring together, working in round tables together to create industries policies and housing policies and growth policies and economic expansion policies and entertainment policies and new technologies. We put the whole earth and everybody in it into the movie. And along the way, we start syndicating it and selling that knowledge. Well, actually, the knowledge itself will be fabulously valuable, but we begin to capture real space and real time of real reality. And we start in a virtual space that would allow any would-be historian in 10, 100, 1,000 years to go back in history and find out who knew what, where, and when, and what did they do about it, and how did they solve it, and how did that connect with all of the innovations from then on. But I tell you what, we get you past 19 years, we get you 4 to 99. You wouldn't even imagine the place we could build. You couldn't even imagine what we could build as one people of Earth working together for just 6 years. Could you even imagine?